Hello, I'm Jim Miller. I'm here with Terrence Moore. Reggie Turner has the night off. The Flip Side starts right now. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're pleased to have Heather Guessford, President and CEO of the United Way of Washington County, with us to talk about all the great things that are happening at the United Way. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the United Way's history in Washington County.
Yes, we have been around a very long time, over 65 years, 67 exactly. And before that, we were what was known as the community chest model. So we were for many years until just recently the primary funder for all nonprofits in town. So that's why people sometimes see our logo on the exterior of certain nonprofit buildings in town, because that is what we did for many years. Instead of each individual nonprofit doing their own fundraising, their own events, United Way was entrusted to do it all on their behalf. So that's what we did for a very long time. Again, community chest model, we were that one hub for all of the donations, and then we would split that between our partner network of agencies depending on what their need was. So really great legacy, been around a long time, trusted nonprofit that everybody in this town at one point has been exposed to, involved with, or impacted by, which those are our favorite stories. So it's been a long run.
And the notion was, and the notion is at some level, as a united funding front,
yes,
that you're more efficient and you don't have, if 10 organizations are doing fundraising, they have 10 sets of administrative costs. You have one. You don't have a big staff. We know that.
We are primarily an army of volunteers. The majority of our staff are part-timers. We have 3, as we say, semi-retired people that decided they have a lot more to give, so they joined us as part-time workers, but there are only 3 of us that are full-time. So we do that intentionally because we want to maximize our investment back out into this community, because every person that we have to pay as a full-time person or as a part-time person that we can't get a volunteer to do, that's less money that we can put back out to people and programs where it matters.
Terrence?
I think those longtime viewers know you're no stranger to this desk, but give them a little background of your connection to United Way.
That's interesting. I've been with United Way for 16 years prior to working here. So I ran my first workplace giving campaign in 2004 when I was just 14. No, when I was just a spring chicken. No, seriously though, it's 2004, I just fell in love. I fell in love with United Way because I had so many things and areas and peoples and causes that really filled my love tank. But it was exhausting trying to serve all of these different places. So what always stood out for me with United Way and what kept me at United Way since 2004 is because that I can help the senior citizens and the homeless and the disabled and puppies and kitties. I can get all of those things that are important to me checked off my list by one organization. And then in 2020, after 16 years of volunteer service, and that volunteer service was everything from, board service, committee service. I chaired their campaign, to really boots on the ground, day of caring, all of those things. And then in 2020, 1 month before the pandemic, to the day, 30 days, I started working here. And it was a life-changing experience because, again, United Way was something that was always so incredibly important to me. And there were some things going on that I thought I could really make big changes with and really leave a pretty good impression. And I just went out on a limb, applied, got it, and then everything changed 30 days later. So we have completely changed how we serve, partially out of necessity, because we're evolving. Gone are the days of that just one source for fundraising in this town. And there's a lot of disruptive innovators in the community and in the world. Facebook is one of them. Social giving, social media platforms, that's really chipping away a lot of the donations organizations like us used to get from individuals. The crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, like the GoFundMes of the world, while they're great, Jim may post, hey, my neighbor's house burnt down, they lost everything, donate. We're seeing that, the trust factor that people have with us isn't as important anymore as that I like Jim, I trust Jim So I'm going to give, because Jim's asking, and this is an emotional, someone's house burnt down, they lost everything. So people are looking for that like quick, easy, transactional, like dopamine rush of, I did something good, I gave to Jim's GoFundMe. So it's the industry as a whole, community foundations across the country have went through similar things, big foundations. It's not just United Ways, but it's just people are evolving and we have to evolve with it. Couple that with a pandemic. So what we experienced 3 years ago is we used to do everything in person. When we would launch our campaigns, when we would go and ask people for money, we always wanted the in-person ask because that's the emotional response. They hear my story about how United Way impacted me and my family, who was a single mom at the time. They hear my colleague's story about her trauma or what spoke to her about United Way. There's a reaction that's genuine that we get from that. And then when they see how we serve, that's what compels them to give. Well, that all changed with the pandemic. Everything shifted to virtual out of necessity. So we lost a lot of that in-person ask. And what we found in the past year especially, these corporations that we used to work with, they like the convenience of the online giving and the digital platforms where they can go on and just click a button. So we haven't really been invited back too much to the in-person asks, which has made it a lot harder to really tell our story and garner that emotional response that we're looking for. So we have to be more creative in how we do that because it's hard, you know, to get people warm and fuzzy with you through just emails or Zoom calls. They will let us Zoom, but you know, and people are remote workers too. So it's changed, but it's really exciting to see how we have not missed a beat and how we've like recognized right away and we've pivoted with it. But it's so different than when I first started as a volunteer.
The problem in my mind to the GoFundMes and the Facebook type giving opportunities are that although you may like me, I can't vouch at the level that your directors can for the organization or the person that you're giving to. And there is no feedback, there is no tracking. Before we get to that, because I want to talk about the leadership and the management and why United Way, but let's talk about the 3 focus goals for United Way: education, financial stability, and health. Can you talk to me about how the activities that you have manifest into solving those core issues?
Absolutely. And what's great about United Way, and it's in the name, and it's also in our mission statement, is that collaboration. Right. We always know that we're not going to know what's best for the community. We need to ask the community what's best for them. So we have a lot of different committees, a lot of different subgroups that we meet with, so many partner agencies, and we say, what are those issues that's pressing and impacting our community right now? And how do we work towards solving them? So a lot of our work is really driven by the needs in our community, and unfortunately it changes so rapidly. What is on fire one day is not the next, and especially again going back to the pandemic, education needs changed so significantly than what we were previously working towards. So then we pivoted towards mental health with the kids, and then also let's get them internet access at their homes, let's get them equipment at home. So we really do a good job of letting our pillars guide us, being the education, financial stability, and all of those urgent, essential needs. But it really comes down to what our local community needs, because United Ways across the country, we're all different. One of our biggest United Ways in the entire country is right here in Maryland. It's they call it Central Maryland, but it's Baltimore, PG County, Montgomery County. Totally different struggles than what we have here.
So let me just help you dispel a myth. There's some myth that there's a national organization in United Way that pours money down to everyone in the United Ways across the country.
And then tells you what to do with it.
Right.
Give me all that fake money. No, that is a huge myth. We also, another big one that we hear is that we get taxpayer dollars, another huge myth. So there's a lot of them. But yeah, we are 100% funded by our investments, which are the forefathers, as we joke, that they set up endowments for us many, many years ago. So we get interest and our investments grow over time. So we fund our operations, our rent, salaries, like any organization is big. So we do that through our investments. We have fundraisers. So we work really hard at our fundraisers, like our golf events and things like that. And then we write grants. 2 years ago, we were really blessed to get a grant that paid for all of our rent. But everything else that we're raising through campaign, and some of these other programs, they all go right back out into the community. So when I say lean, we are the leanest organization of the 76 that we serve that are not 100% nonprofit. Our admin and overhead, which is the gold standard for nonprofits, is only 7%. So that means 93% of every dollar that we get in right now, because we measure it all the time, goes right back out. So many of our partner agencies, they're hovering at like 20-30%. So
which is still not bad.
It's still great. It's still great, but we are that mindful. And I'd say, and again, it goes back to trust. People trust us to do the right thing. And if I can get someone to donate it, I can get a grant for it, which we do really good writing grants now. I'm going to write my little heart of grants out and just keep writing and writing, because I know that our community needs us, so I need to be able to maximize what I'm putting back out.
Well, you know, interestingly, and I went through this, there you see the cans all over the place to put your, and Goodwill, we know, is one of the organizations that's very good at efficiency, right?
Yep.
And the other collection sites, when you look them up on some of the sites, it's like 10% of what they, so 90% of everything they earn goes to them, and 10%, but they still can say, hey, we're giving back. It's a true statement, but it's very misleading.
There's a national one that's a really, really big one that, without naming names and
I
throwing them
get
under
it.
the bus, they send out like the door hangers and the flyers, and they get that emotional reaction. So this is part of the education.
And they
where
give
we
10 cents, 15 cents on a dollar back to the community.
We're like, we try to coach people. And
now, in that regard, though, in 2022, United Way of Washington County was recognized, designated as with the Guide Star Seal of Transparency. Talk to us about that.
This is a hard one, and we're so proud of it, because our Platinum Seal is the highest seal of transparency that any agency can earn.
And what does that mean?
It means that we have demonstrated fiscal responsibility. We've demonstrated, and it's not just about finances, but that we have that we are DEI focused. So we have to put in strategic plans and demonstrate our activities to show how we are good social, partners to our community, especially with the emphasis on equity and inclusion. We have to submit all of our financials, which is a big process. So it's a multi-step, multi-layer process, but it's not just about we do what we say we're going to do. We show you all of our books. We're a good fiduciary agent, but we do the right thing. And the DEI, that was an emphasis 2 years ago that they really started asking more about. So, and we have a lot of programs that really focus on equity and inclusion, and the people that in our community, because this is still like Washington County, so you can compare it to Baltimore and some other areas where their DEI programs are so much more dynamic than ours, but not for United Way. We look at that and we say, these people might need our help the most, because in Washington County for too long, it was always like, what is like the sexy nonprofit? Like you hear the names of like the big national ones instead of, hey, this neighborhood's falling apart. They have no sexy brand. They have no like name-worthy ambassador representing them or whatever that looks like. United Way just wants to do what's right. So we see people and neighborhoods that may have barriers because they're just forgotten, because they don't have the big resources. That's inclusion to us, and that's where we try to focus.
I also want to call out that United Way, I know for years that every year it came up campaign, donate the money, you click the button, and that was it. Coming to Hagerstown and working with the United Way, it's boots on the ground. So it's walking through the door and being able to say, hey, this community is failing. How can we partner to make it work? It's about going out. And so you can manage the money, you can put the programs in place, you can do the fundraisers, you can do all the administrative work, but then everyone in that building is boots on the ground day in and day out. How is that so different, and where does that come from a leadership standpoint?
It's so different, and I look at it as a necessity, because for so many years we were, the 800-pound gorilla, because we were it. So people just knew United Way was, you give them money, they put money out. Well, our environments made us change, and there's so much competition. So when we came in, the very first thing I said is, it's a new day at the Way, because we can't keep, and when I came in, we were still trying to operate just as a grant maker. You can't do that. United Way Worldwide has been coaching us for years, saying, you guys got to pivot, you have to be more visible, you have to have programs, because people don't want to follow that process anymore of like, you give your money and then what? Like, more people want to see things, and like, they want to understand how it goes. The trust is still huge, and that's what is our best selling point, but they want to know, like, this is exactly what it's funding and who it's funding. So
Tangible results.
Tangible results. So it was a big shift at first. Just getting people in that mindset. I was like, look, you can wear jeans and sneakers, but we're doing stuff. Nobody's just sitting here writing checks. Our community needs us. So we instantly pivoted to, we're running to the fire, not from it. And 30 days later, everything shut down, everything. City shut down, county shut down. Nobody was doing grants, nobody was doing emergency response. Literally that day, I was like, we're going to work. We got PPE when no one could get PPE. We got food when no one can get food because we used our network. And we didn't close down for an hour. We worked around the clock, 7 days a week, getting all those supplies out into the community. And ever since then, it's like, okay, we're a response agency now.
Yeah, I lived in that building.
Yep.
And no, again, it's also a family in that organization. Let's outside of the structure.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have family out in here, and I was given to the community, and I spent more time in that building with a lot of the leaders and board members and volunteers, locking ourselves in, putting ourselves at risk, and watching people come out from their own families and come in to support the United Way because they were the first ones, one of the first ones, boots on the ground in the community when they needed it the most. So.
That changed everything.
Heather, we have more to talk about, but we need to take a break right now.
Absolutely.
Can you stick with us?
Yes, sir.
Stay tuned when we come back. More with Heather Guessford, President and CEO of the United Way of Washington County. Welcome back. We're here once again with Heather Guessford, President and CEO of the United Way of Washington County. Heather, you have a great event coming up, the Day of Caring. Talk to us about that.
We do. It is our community's largest, single most significant volunteer effort all year. It is our 32nd annual Day of Caring event. On that day, Thursday, September 21st, at some point you are going to see someone wearing our bright yellow shirts around this town, serving their neighbors, serving many nonprofits, going in to do everything from yard work and landscaping. Then we've got some really intense projects, carpentry, electrical work. So we're doing the full gamut of that low skill or no skill project to that really professional level project. But we've got over 100 projects right now.
Wow.
Yes.
To be done in one day.
One day.
And how many volunteers are going to be attacking those 100 projects?
Yep. Volunteers are down for the first time in a couple years, and just because again, which we'll get into, the industry's changing from volunteerism's perspective, but we have over 800 volunteers right now. So it's a lot. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people to navigate. Most of our volunteers come from our workplace or corporate partners. So city, shout out to them. They're sending like 75 people. Volvo is sending 82 people. Wow. Yeah, so we have some really big ones. Meredith is sending, I think, like 40 people. So we're really blessed. And then we've got some small 2- and 3-person teams that we're pairing with some larger teams. Holtz Apple Group of Morgan Stanley, they're sending 4. I'm like, 4's great. We'll take them. We'll take everybody.
So tell me what kind of projects. Give us some examples of what you would do during that Day of Caring.
There's not too much we turn away. We have to turn it away if it is not a safe environment, which we did have to turn away for this year because it's not safe. But we have some really intense projects every single year. It's very emotional for the team because we have to go out and see the projects, especially the residential, which is about 60 plus residential projects this year. So we have to meet the residents, hear their stories, see why they need help, and then you see how people are living, and it's a lot. And then we see what is their most urgent need. So we're like, give us your wish list. If we could, we've asked for like a lot. Some people want you to rebuild their whole house. I'm like, we're not doing that. But give me like your A, B, C list. And then we start at the top because we really want to be like a Make-A-Wish type place and really get it done for them. And then if we can't, which is our worst case scenario, then we'll do the B and the C. But this year we've got 4 that are really, really intense. We're sending our A team out, all widowed females, and their husbands, died recent years. And landscaping hasn't been done. Trees are falling down. Vehicles were broken down in their driveways. Just leaks. A lot of it's like just general maintenance, but the problem is they're on fixed income and they have no family and they have no help. And a lot of them are rural, so they're living in these remote, isolated areas and these really big lots. And it's just way too much for them, but we want to try to keep them in their home. We want to keep them safe, but we're seeing a lot of really deplorable conditions, and it's not an unkept, dirty people type situation. They're just falling down.
You also help some organizations around
Yeah.
as well that are on shoestring budgets
Yeah.
that can't really hire that kind of assistance.
Absolutely. One of our favorites is Holly Place. So they depend on us every year. You know, we go out and do what we can for them. We're doing a pretty big project there this year. Of course, Humane Society, Red Cross, Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc. is another really big project. Girls Inc. actually closes down for us. We do a total takeover
Wow.
of Girls Inc. And then we have some shelters, which are really important, you know, some homeless shelters. So we go through all of the legality, privacy waivers, and all of that. But it's nice, too, when we can place nonprofit teams, because they all, for the most part, most of them then volunteer to give back, like Reach. Reach, you know, they always go out and serve another nonprofit. CASA, they go and serve a nonprofit. So it's really cool when you see other nonprofits serving other nonprofits in the same day. It's really special.
It's a great day to take off from the gym and get your hands dirty
Yes.
in the community.
Oh, you're getting a workout. You're going to get your steps in. It's a big
Excellent.
day. Yes.
Excellent.
Yep.
So you also have a campaign coming up. Talk to us
We
about
do.
that.
Always more, never less. So that I always make my annual appeal. Everything that we get in through campaign goes right back out the door through our programs, whether it's an indirect program or a direct program. As we stated, you know, earlier in the show, about just giving habits have changed and are changing. So campaign's really important for us. We always make that appeal. You know, United Way, it's founded on trust and collaboration. We reduced waste by working together with agencies. We reduce waste by having, you know, one donor go to all of these different nonprofits and like, you get 100, you get 100, you get 100. And then they charge credit card fees and there's all these processing fees and they have to pay people to process that. Just let us do it for you. We've got a couple really long-time trusted donors that they will give us their intentions and say, here is my $20,000. I want it to go to all of these places. And they trust us because we do what they ask. So campaign is huge. We really need it. Our goal this year, we'd really like to get to 450. Again, it's changed over the years just because we've lost also a lot of big employers. Employers are changing too. A lot of the employers, right, wrong, or indifferent, they don't want to get into those like social giving programs. Yeah. They're afraid, and it's been said to us, they're afraid that the employees may perceive it as like they're pressuring them. So our bread and butter is more of those like local businesses. Jameson Door Company still has owners that we know. Now they've branched out and they've got some ownership in Italy now, but it's still real people. Like we can get to a decision maker. That's who really helps us out a good bit. We do have some corporate partners, but it's really changed throughout the years. And again, because they're going to like the online giving and things like that. So it's a big, really big, important part of what we do because we can't give out more than what we raise. So when we are supporting, now it increased from 75 to 76 organizations. We just brought on Girls on the Run, which we love. We can only give them what that total number is. So this year we had to make some hard decisions. We still funded everybody that was meeting the criteria, that was responsible, that did what they said they were going to do, but we had to cut back on the percentage that we can give them. And that hurts. That's the worst part of what we do because we know if you're qualified to get through as one of our partner agencies or we're funding you, you're doing the right things. So when I have to make that call and say, I just had to cut you 10 grand and I know that's $10,000 that's not going towards a feeding program or a transportation or healthcare or some other urgent essential needs. It rips your heart out.
We talk in the show about winter coming, right?
Yep.
Economically
right.
speaking.
Economically
Yes.
speaking, but you know, who has to take care of everyone when it gets cold, right? The need is there great. And my concern is that a lot of this money that's coming to nonprofits, to these grants and ARPA money that was out there, it's done.
It's done.
So where are they going to turn?
Yep.
United Way.
We have been overwhelmed, not just because it's day of caring, planning time right now. Our phones have been ringing off the hook for the past month. The big issue right now is the housing crisis that we're in. But a lot of these nonprofits are coming to us asking for urgent emergency grant funding because they need help with supplementing their food pantries and their soup kitchens, fixing equipment. I mean, we're getting pummeled right now. Now, luckily, we do a really good job at fundraising, so we're able to meet a lot of those emergency needs. But between the housing and again, a lot of it is because people are people. They get comfortable with that ARPA funding, and they get comfortable that they had SNAP benefit extensions. When those SNAP benefit extensions ended in May, it was like the floodgates opened. And then, of course, the emergency rental assistance program, that ran out of funding. We get more calls in a day and a week for housing than we've ever gotten in all of my time as even a volunteer now employee here. It's tough.
Wow. Well, we have just a couple more questions. If we can, we'd like
Please.
to hold you over for one more segment.
I would love to.
Stay with us. Heather and the Flip Side will be back after this. Welcome back. Once again, we're here with Heather Guessford, President and CEO of the United Way of Washington County. Heather, thank you for sticking with us now through 3 segments.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about your programs. You mentioned earlier you have direct programs and you have indirect programs. I'm assuming the indirect are through some of those agencies.
Yep.
Talk to us about those.
Absolutely. And again, it goes back to we are not just a grant maker anymore. We are so much more. So one of the things that we're most proud of, again, is recognizing what are those urgent needs in our community. So we like to fill gaps. And some of our programs were founded based on someone else is not doing them, or they're not doing them efficiently enough, or there's not enough of it being done. So one of our favorite programs that was birthed, if you will, out of necessity is called United Against Hunger. And a very nice man came to us, and he recognized the inflation crisis that was happening when food prices spiked. I mean, this is when we had eggs at 38%, lunch meat and cheese was 18% over prior year, but on average 11% over prior year.
Crazy.
Was really hitting families. And then the perfect storm, SNAP benefit extensions went away. So we had, moms just trying to feed their families. They lost the extension of their SNAP benefits when inflation at the time was through the roof. So,
And oh, by the way, gas prices were up.
And
a lot of these families don't
Yeah.
get to work from
No.
home.
No,
So
and
yeah.
the majority of the people that we are helping, and this is one of those other United Way myths, are working poor. We call them ALICE, and many people use our ALICE data, but it's asset limited, income constrained, yet employed. So ALICE is your front desk receptionist, your medical assistants, your clerks, your people who you see every day, and you don't know that they are just one crisis away from losing everything and living in poverty. They're working and they make just too much to get any sort of housing benefits or any sort of assistance, whatever that looks like.
So those are many of those essential workers we were
Yes.
cheering on
Yep.
when we were in a pandemic, but are
Yep.
still in need.
They're still in need. And we see that they have no savings. On average, they have about $250. So what happens if they leave here today and the transmission blows out in their car? So then what we see is the side effects of, well, now Alice, as we'll call him or her, Alice can't get to work because their vehicles broke down, or Alice also is now going to lose their job because they don't have jobs that they can just work remote, and their employers aren't so forgiving because Alice also has a family, and Alice had to call in sick 2 days last week because little Johnny or little Mary's sick. So these are good, hardworking people that just need like a little bit of support. And that is who we try to focus on the most because they tend to be the forgotten ones. And they're also the ones that don't like asking for help. There's a lot of shame with it. And we've all been through some things, but there should be no shame with that. But we serve a lot of those Alice families. And United Against Hunger, we've really done a lot in that space with Alice. So we try to, again, there's no shame. It's okay to ask for help. So we are putting out a tremendous amount of food. We are also putting out money to our many partner agencies. They can ask once every 3 months, just to make it equitable. Once every 3 months, they can ask for some emergency funding. Salvation Army, for example, the Hope Center, which most people still call a rescue mission. They needed emergency funding. Zion Church, Zion Reformed United Church of Christ.
Right.
We funded money to help them get extra food for their food pantries because our Alice families were working and then going for the first time to a lot of these pantries and getting food, which was depleting their supply. So we're stepping up with United Against Hunger. We're putting out a ton of food. We're putting out money to buy more food if you are a soup kitchen or a food pantry. And then we're also fixing food prep and food storage equipment Reach, for example, had like a commercial dishwasher go down during their peak of, their shelter season. We were able to fix that because if it goes into feeding people, whatever that looks like, whether it's the actual food, money to buy the food, or the food prep and food storage, we're stepping up. And we have reserved $60,000 just in the past. It hasn't even been a year that we've been putting those funds out there. And we just want to feed people. And we want to, if we can give you, Alice, Mr., Mrs., family of Alice, if I can make your life a little bit easier by giving you a couple $100s worth of food for the week, so that's money that you can not have to spend at the grocery store, we're here to help.
Yeah. Well, that's important. And nobody said life was supposed to be easy. It's
Yep.
not supposed to be, but there are people, you're right, people face things through no fault of their own in many cases, that if we could just make it just a little easier.
Just help out a little bit, and that way I want you to focus on your kids first, back to school. Their first time going into elementary school, they're nervous, you got to get them on the bus. They also want to look nice like the other kids, because let's be honest, kids are mean. They want to have nice sneakers, they want to have clean, nice clothes. So we work with our partner agencies to help, make sure that they are connected to their clothing resources they need, that they can get their book bags and their school supplies. We put out thousands of units of school supplies each year, thanks to a great partnership with Staples. We also have a partnership with a lot of the different corporate organizations. We call it Stuff the Bus. Middletown Valley Bank, Valley Mall, for example. And that way, again, Alice, you need a little bit of help here with Johnny's supplies. You can worry on, buying the other things that he needs. Let us help here.
Well, and the other thing is, if you can solve those basic need
Yep.
problems, it allows those families to focus on getting a better job or working a couple extra hours to make the extra money, or doing
Yep.
whatever it is to help move them forward.
Yep.
When all you can focus on is whether you're going to have food on the table that night, there's really no room in your brain
No.
to focus on anything else.
Yep. And transportation and childcare, still in this county.
Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah.
It's the biggest barriers to those Alice families, transportation and childcare. Now, we've been really trying hard to work on transportation for a while, but like a lot of nonprofits, we don't have enough staff. So there's some issues there that we're really hyper-focused on. The childcare, we're working so closely with Beacon House and Boys and Girls Club and so many of those other childcare, after school, before school care providers, but it's just not enough.
Yeah.
But these are people that have good intentions. They want to work. They don't want to be in the cycle of poverty, or they don't want to live like that, but they don't have a choice. And these are the same people that get judged by others, but they don't know their story. And they don't know that they're like $50 away from a benefits cliff, where if they make $50 too much,
Yep.
they lose all their benefits.
Right.
So we always tell people, I'm like, please be kind, because you have no idea of someone's story and what they're going through,
I'm going to ask our producer, Paul, to bring something out to us. But in the meantime, if we have others, I know you have an online platform for donations.
We do.
As we enter the giving season, talk about that.
Yes, this season coming up, really September through the end of the year, December, is our biggest fundraising time of the year. We can take stock benefits, we can take checks, cash, cards, whatever it is.
And the amount doesn't matter. $10 is $10.
No. Every single dollar goes so far. And that's one thing we cannot stress enough to people, is that we literally, every single dollar that comes into our organization, and again, trust, it's tracked, it's monitored, where did it go, who did it impact, how many people did it help. So really every single gift helps. But there's so many ways that you can give. If you are online, which most people are, visit our website. It's unitedwaywashcounty.org. It talks about all of our programs, because there's so much more that we do that we just didn't have time for. Learn more about us. Learn about what the differentiator is about just stretching resources, saving time and money, and just the collaboration. And really that's what United Way is, that one-stop shop. If you don't want to go to our website, you can walk in. We're downtown Hagerstown. You can call us. Heck, I'll even drive to your house and pick up a check. But we get stock gifts if that's how you want to give too. But we really, just making that appeal as we get into, the Q4 giving season, that our worst days are when we have to turn people away. And that is what's so hard about what we do, because every single one of our volunteers, our regular volunteers in our office, every single one of our employees has a story. every single one of us. So we are all here to serve, and we can't do that. It's not a good day at the way.
So we believe in putting our money where our mouth is. So we would like to make a small donation to the United Way. I know I make one annually, but and it's all about that trust. So we'd like to present you with a check for $1,000 this evening.
That's a huge gift.
Not
a small gift, a huge gift. Thank you.
You said you take stock, you take any kind of money.
Anything.
Also large checks that are backed by real currency.
Large checks. This is overwhelming, and thank you.
Thank you. You're doing the hard work.
And
this is the easy part.
One thing, again, that we like to tell our donors is if kids are important to you, if United Against Hunger, Books United, school supplies, whatever that thing is, tell us. Because we say, where do you want this to go? How do you want it to serve? Or do you trust us to put it where it's most needed? So call your United Way. Re-engage with us, get to know us once again, because a lot has changed.
Heather, thank you for being here. We want you to come back after the campaign and tell us about all the great things. Tell us about the Day of Caring.
Yes.
You can even bring pictures if that's allowed.
We've got our photo waivers, things that we're allowed to talk about, and just cheer on your friends. And if you have them out serving that day, think about them, because it's going to be a very busy, long day.
Up next on the flip side, we have another nonprofit that'll be with us. The Soroptimist Club of Hagerstown will join us after this message. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now we have with us representatives from the Soroptimist International, and it's the Hagerstown or Washington County chapter?
Hagerstown.
The Hagerstown chapter. I'm going to let the three of you introduce yourself. Chrissy, we'll start with you.
Okay. My name's Chrissy Long. I've been Soroptimist member for about 5 years, and this year Jackie and I are co-presidents. So
excellent. Jackie?
Jackie Taylor, co-president with Chrissy this year, member for the last 5 years.
Okay. Letty?
Letty Wilkes. I've been a member of Soroptimist now for 6 years, and I'm the corresponding secretary of the membership.
So I've known about Soroptimist. I've heard the name many, many times over many, many years, and I think actually how we arranged this is I think I've reached out to Chrissy and said, what do you guys do? Tell us about the history of Soroptimist, at least in the Washington County or Hagerstown chapter.
Well, I can go back further when
sure.
it started. In 1921, in Oakland, California, there was a gentleman that was looking to start a service organization. So he went to the Oakland Business School and found out it was run by women. So he didn't pursue that, but the women decided, well, we can do a service organization. So they started an organization basically to serve women.
Okay.
To help women that needed help. The Hagerstown Club started in 1955. They were chartered in 1956. And we've grown a lot in the last 2 years.
How many members do you have?
We have right around 50 right now.
That's
and
great.
I think when Jackie and I joined, there might have been 30,
Yeah,
29 or 30.
we grew a lot within the last 2 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
Last year, the president's effort, their big goal was to raise our membership, and we certainly went from 33 members to 50, and we are growing. We just had a meeting this past Monday, and we had some new members, or potential new members that came for interest. So we are constantly growing our membership.
What's a qualified member look like?
most of us are women, but a man can join.
Is that, I was going to say, is that a requirement or no?
Yeah.
It's not a requirement. A man is welcome to join, but we have all women right now, and we have 19-year-old up to 89-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was pretty exclusive, I think, when it first started in the 1950s, and they would only take one teacher, one
There were a lot of
nurse,
organizations.
one-
Rotary used to do
Yes.
that. Actually, they
Yeah.
did too, but Rotary used to do that, I remember.
But now we're like, if you're willing to give your time, we'll take you.
We're very diverse in our career fields, nurses, teachers, business, entrepreneurs, all across the board of everybody in our membership, which is pretty neat. We have a lot of resources.
Letty, talk to us about the mission. What do you guys do?
The mission of Soroptimist is to empower and serve women in your community across. Soroptimist International does that across the board. But here in Washington County, in Hagerstown, we really want to empower women and put them in the light and help their needs. So that's really what our mission and investing in dreams. That's the main logo, motto of Soroptimist. So investing in dreams for girls and women.
So Jackie, from a practical perspective, what does that mean, investing in dreams? What kind of projects would you become involved with?
We do a wide variety of different projects. To kind of go back, like the vision of the group is we want to provide women and girls with resources and opportunities to empower them to their full potential so that they can invest and live their dreams. So we've gone out to the Family Center most recently, and we'll talk about that a little bit. That's one of our two biggest things. We have a Live Your Dream award, and then we have Dream It, Be It. And our Dream It, Be It program's kind of been on hold because of, like everybody else, COVID shut down, and just when we were ramping up, that got put on the back burner. But most recently, they went out to the Family Center last year. We had our certified nurse practitioner went out, and she spoke to the young ladies there. That is a program that's run through WCPS for teen mothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she talked to them about health. We had somebody that came out with a financial background, and they talked to them about their finances and balancing that and how to have a healthy financial background. So we're building on that. We're excited for this year because we have a group of women that are working on that now. We have kind of a curriculum that we have to follow, but we're branching it out so that we bring them life skills this year. There's all different kinds of programs that we're trying to come up with for this year to branch that out. And we eventually like to get back into the schools.
So what were you doing with the schools?
We never got
You never got
that
in.
far.
So okay, gotcha.
No, never got that far.
All right, Terrence.
So.
How would someone reach out or be a part of something that you're doing or let you know of an immediate need?
So, Terrence, to answer your question, we provide scholarships and grants, and those are usually awarded at the end of the year for us in May. And the scholarships, we give a Gavel Award. It is girls actively volunteering and exhibiting leadership. So young females that are working in our community and volunteering, they have an opportunity to apply. And if we feel fit that their volunteerism and their leadership goes in with our mission, then they not only get a scholarship, but also the organization they're working with also gets money from Soroptimist. We have an HCC scholarship that's an endowment scholarship. Jackie's a really big part of that. And we also have the Live Your Dream Award scholarship. And that goes to individuals who are trying to carry on their career. For instance, a great example would be a single parent mom who's trying to take care of her children, also go to college and wants to become, just for an example, a physical therapist. But she's had a lot of setbacks, but we can help her work towards her mission and her dreams, investing in those dreams that she have. Then we also have grants that agencies can reach out. There's an application process, and then they have to actually fulfill the grant and then get back to us in a report of how the grant was used, because we give quite a bit of money. And kudos to our membership, and these ladies can attest to it. This past year, our organization gave $30,000 to our local community here. We gave over $20,750 just in grants, and then the rest went to scholarships or other little things we did. At Christmas time, we did a Christmas project, so we were able to help local young girls, and we did even help some boys. We were able to give some items for Christmas. But it's pretty remarkable that 50 plus ladies can give $30,000. This is the most, this past year was the most that our organization has given.
Yes.
And if you ever had an opportunity to come to our awards night in May, and that's how I actually got started in Soroptimist. Somebody asked me to come, and it was absolutely shocking and breathtaking that an organization like this could give that much money and raise it within the year. And it's pretty remarkable how we raise that amount of money for the small amount of stuff that we do.
Right. Talk to us about your fundraisers.
So we have 3 fundraisers that we do, and last year was the first year, this past year was the first year that we did 3. We do a purse bingo, and it's upcoming this year on November 5th at the Elks Club. And then we do a Luck of Irish Bonanza. We try to do it near St. Patrick's Day. That will actually be in March 9th,
Yep.
2024. And then this past year, we did our first golf tournament, and we had great success. We're going to do that again. It'll be May 23rd on 2024 at Black Rock Golf Course. So out of those 3 fundraisers, we were able to raise enough money to give $30,000 away. Wow. So it was, I know we were very excited about it, and I know these 2 as presidents, one of their main goals for our organization this year is to increase our fundraising by 10%. So we have big goals to achieve this year.
So we're looking for 33,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the more money we raise, the more we
money,
can give.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And as we-
100% of what comes in goes out. So.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
No, you're all volunteer
All
organization.
volunteer.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is no overhead at all. That's the
No,
best.
yeah,
That's the best
that's-
case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who's the most tenure member right now?
Donna Tribinger
Tribinger.
and Ann Freshour, they're our longest members, and
They'll
they're
turn 90 next year.
Yeah,
so
Donna,
Wow.
I
Yes.
believe, turns 90 next year in March.
yes, and Ann the
And-
following year.
and the
Yeah.
following year.
Yeah,
That's
so-
amazing.
They're remarkable.
They are.
That's what's so unique about this organization, and we said this Monday night at our meeting. We were very nervous going into it. We're the newbies, but these women set the foundation, and they are at every meeting. It's remarkable, and we have a wonderful, wonderful support system with all the women there. And like I said, the women that set forth the foundation, it's fun to see them and hear the stories. And they're a lot of fun to be
There's
around.
lots of laughs.
There's lots of laughs.
And that's just so unique for a all-volunteer organization to be kind of passing the torch of service from
Right.
generation to generation, and know that you'll be bringing on new members and see what you almost increase your membership almost by 100%. So
Yes.
it's going to be great to see that next generation also learn from what you're doing and providing that standard of service to the community. So thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you.
We'd like to stick around for another segment, if you will. We're going
Sure.
to take a break right now. Stay with us. We'll be back with our ladies from the Soroptimist Club after this. Welcome back. Once again, we're here with representatives from the Soroptimist International. I keep wanting to leave off international. It is an international organization, the Washington County chapter. Terrence, I'm going to throw it to you for the first question.
Talk about your community involvement and what kind of engagement you're having right now.
Well, having Heather on prior to us, we're actually involved in the United Day of Caring. We've done that for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
3 years.
3 years at least. Kay Huffman, one of our members, she kind of takes the lead, takes the charge. So we're involved in that. We've helped with Girls on the Run. We do Red Cross gift wrapping at Christmas.
Is that at the mall?
Yes. We have some members that have signed up to help out with the Girls Inc. Muddy Mamas that's coming up in a few weeks.
That's always fun, I'm
Yes.
sure.
I'm trying to think what else. We've put a tree up at the Springfield Barn to kind of show our place in the community there. It's really fun when we've done the Girls on the Run. We're there to kind of cheer on the girls. That's a great organization to watch those young girls and that they've trained for. We've done their Christmas run and their end of year run, which their end of year is what they've trained all year for. So that's a great celebration. So those are just a few of the things. We're looking to branch out a little bit more to find other service projects too.
And so if anybody that's watching this, a viewer,
Yeah.
if they have something that they would like to reach out to us, they definitely can. The
Excellent.
other unique thing about what Jackie just talked about that I think is really cool for our organization is with our community involvement and some of our grants, we have gained members. So
Yes.
Maureen Grove of Girls Inc., she is one of our members, and she's a great asset.
Oh, she's great.
Leah Perry, she's since retired from Girls on the Run, but we gained her to our membership because of Girls on the Run. So we've gained some awesome members that are hugely a big part of our community through some of the things that we do.
Again, a unique organization of members looking to serve, not only run your own fundraisers, but rally together to go out and serve and help the other organizations. A lot of times we talk about everyone's trying to recreate the wheel and do their own thing. Not too many organizations have the power or the ability to kind of rally members together to go and support right now when volunteers are at a premium right now as well.
Right, yeah. No, that's the fun part too, to get out into the community, and then people will ask you what we're about. And to Letty's point, we've gained some great members just by being out and at these events and wearing our shirts and just being, visible in the community. So that's really helped our membership.
So you mentioned during the break, somebody said, wow, we should have talked more about grant awards. Let's talk about grant awards.
So Jim, with our grants, I'm actually the chairperson of that committee. So everything that we do in our organization, we have different committees. So out of those 15 members, just because the 3 of us are here, a lot of our members have a leadership role, and there's so many things that we do that everybody can lead in a way. But with our grants this past year, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we gave $20,750. And this past year, some of the agencies that received our grants were Lasting Change here in Hagerstown, kind of the same, Brooks House, and HARC, which is Hagerstown Area Religious Council, the Boys and Girls Club of Washington County, Girls Inc. Our grant was actually able to provide them towards getting a new van so they could transport these young children. Girls on the Run, Midwestern Maryland, and REACH. Heather had mentioned that. So, and then the last one this past year was Interfaith Coalition of up in Hancock with like Martha's House. So every year we give different grants. They have to submit an application that goes with our mission, and those were just the award winners from this past year. But there's a lot of agencies, I think, that are out there that could qualify for our grant. They just don't know about us. So we are always wanting to get more information out. So this show is great because we can get more people aware of actually what Soroptimist is.
So if people wanted to become involved with your organization as a member or as a volunteer or in any capacity, how do they do that? How do they go about doing that?
So there is an international website, and you can choose to send an email, and then they will forward us an email. We have a Facebook page that you can reach out, message us on the Facebook page for Soroptimist of Hagerstown. We meet the 4th Monday of every month, except for July and December we take off, and we do a meal with some fellowship and then the business meeting. One of our goals this year is to do some fun stuff, kind of some bonding and fellowship outside of the business meeting. So we have a programs committee that's going to come up with some fun stuff for us to do. But you can reach out through any of those ways.
And our membership committee, we have a membership committee, and they take care of, our growth and development to growing our membership. They did a great job last year.
Yeah, obviously. 30 to 50 members, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You don't see that. I hear the Rotary clubs, the Kiwanis clubs, the Lions clubs are all, desperate for members because it's kind of a dying breed. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that your club is active, that it's growing, and that it is serving the community.
Well, these ladies are pretty powerful, I will say that.
Very
They
much
work
so.
very, very hard.
They do. And what's neat is from our elder members that we talked about, probably our youngest would be Miss Page.
Yeah.
What is she?
She's 19, I
Wow.
think, but
And
she
is all hands on deck.
That's great.
And
She
it's
was-
just awesome. Yeah.
She just has all these kudos, and she is gung-ho. She's 19 and already finished an associate's degree at HCC. She's a junior at Shepherd. She's huge in Chick-fil-A. Like, she just brings a little flavor. It's nice to mix the old and the young, and she appreciates the old. She doesn't call us old.
We're not old, Chrissy.
I know. But she's the sweetest, but she's ready to go. Anything you ask. She's
Yeah.
like, I can do it, I can help. So it's great to have that fresh stuff.
I'm
And then
sure.
you have the older to guide, and it's just been.
Well, I'm going to ask our producer, while you ask your last question, I'm going to ask our producer to bring us our...
No, that's great. That's perfect timing because I wanted to ask, when is your award period for your grants? So you said you need more people to apply. When should they be looking for it, and when should they be applying?
So Terrence, those grants will go out in January, and the application period will go through April. And anybody that, if they're viewing the show tonight, if
Right.
they're interested, they can reach out on that Facebook page, and we will document that and make sure that they get an application and that they can get that in to us to see if they're eligible for receiving one of our grants.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, once again, we like to put our money where our mouth is. So, Terrence, if you want to do the honors, we'd like to present you with at least a big cardboard check that says Soroptimist for $250.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you for all
Thank
you
you.
do. Thank you for the investment you're making in our community. And we look forward to hopefully having you on the show again.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all the time we have for tonight. We hope you will like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and send us your comments to feedback@theflipsidetv.com. That's feedback@theflipsidetv.com. Most importantly, join us again next week for another visit to the Flip Side. Good night.